On today's episode of the Let There Be Games podcast, we'll be talking about what this podcast is, the changes coming to the Let There Be Games blog, and what's coming in my next game review. You're listening to the Let There Be Games podcast, available wherever it is that you get your podcasts. You can follow me on Facebook at Lettherebegames Official, all one word, or on my blog, lettherbegames.wordpress.com. But for now, let's get straight into today's episode. This is the first episode of the Let There Be Games podcast. On this podcast, I will be discussing all of the latest game news, game trends, and all of the latest posts on the Let There Be Games blog. Episodes will be released weekly and will range between 5 to 10 minutes in length. I hope that you enjoy this podcast, but first, let's get into the changes that will be coming to the Let There Be Games blog very soon. So first one is that I am changing the kind of style of my blog to no longer be so directed towards parents. Instead, I'm changing my blog to be directed towards both gamers, kids who are also gamers, and parents. And so this is going to be happening over a kind of long-ish period of time, in which the first stage is to remove the for parents by kids from the end of all my posts, which I have already done. So if you go over to the Let There Be Games blog, you will notice that change has already happened. I've also changed the description of my blog and the description over on my Facebook page. These changes are so that I can kind of appeal to a wider audience. That's why I'm doing this. And I hope that my current followers can kind of adapt around that. And it's just something I want to do, including another thing I want to do is starting this podcast, which is what I'm doing. Now, I just want to mention the fact that the audio quality is not brilliant on the podcast right now. I am planning on ordering a better mic. I'm currently on holiday, so I can't actually order that because I can't. But this podcast, I'm excited for it. So just to tell you what my latest post is over on the Let There Be Games blog, I've done another jargon buster, and this is quite a large jargon buster, just kind of breaking down some different Fortnite terminology for parents so that they can understand stuff their kids are saying. It's important, and I put in a little joke at the end, so there's that. In terms of plans for new posts, I'm going to be doing a Call of Duty Black Ops 3 review very soon. I'm currently working on it. And this is going to be my kind of last post directed towards parents. And I'm going to keep it within my current style. And then I'm going to be changing the style up a bit to be less directed towards parents. Now, this episode of the podcast is going to be quite short. Future episodes are hopefully going to be longer. I'm actually going to be talking about game news and kind of the latest trends in terms of gaming and that kind of thing. I will be starting a YouTube channel for the podcast, so if you can't listen to the podcast in the normal way, you'll be able to go over on YouTube and listen to the podcast on there. And, you know, I've just always wanted a podcast, so I have one now. And I hope that you guys will enjoy the podcast, and that's all I really have for today's podcast. Also, I've been working on the intro pretty much all day, so I hope you like that. And I will see you next week for the next episode of the Let There Be Games podcast. Make sure to follow me on Facebook, as I said at the start, at Lettherebegames Official. And don't forget to head over to the blog, lettherbegames.wordpress.com, and follow the podcast, because it's a good podcast. Thank you very much for listening to this first ever episode of the Let There Be Games podcast. And I will be continuing the series next week when I will be back home.